Hey everybody, thanks for joining me for this overview and review of Dice Theme Park. In this game, players are essentially a theme park manager and they are in charge of designing their very own park. So this is a competitive game that includes dice worker placement, set collection, tile laying, and all sorts of fun stuff theme park related. So stay tuned for this review and find out if this is a game for you. So there's a lot going on in this game, and I'm not going to get to every detail and every rule, but what I do want to do is go through and talk about the features that really appeal to me in every phase of the game, and I think that's the best way to approach it. So it gives you a good idea of really how each round works. There are 5 rounds in the full game. If it's your first time playing, they recommend playing 4, which is a shorter version of the game. But playing 5 rounds is the full game, and in each round there are 6 phases. You've got plan, welcome, expand, improve, operate, and upkeep. So by kind of going through each of those phases, I'm going to talk about the things that I really like. So in the first phase of each round, players plan. And players are starting with their player cards, one of each type of 6 cards. And they're going to select 2 of them. Now, why are they selecting 2 and what's going to happen with those cards? Really, really important and super interesting. So players are going to be looking at what the bonus action is that allows them to activate something at a phase later in the round. That's the first thing. The second thing is they're going to get money based on how much money is listed. The lower cards, numbered cards, are going to give you less money. The higher numbered cards are going to give you more money. Now, the other thing is to keep in mind those pips, the numbers with the die. That means you add up your numbers and the lowest total combined is the initiative order, starting with lowest goes first, to the highest number goes last. So there's a lot to keep in mind when you're selecting those 2 cards. What bonus actions do I need? What initiative order am I willing to accept? Do I need to go first because I'd like to select this new ride and I would like to go and buy this particular mascot with that special ability and so forth. So going first is really important unless you don't need first. So therefore you might pick later cards that give you even more money and different abilities. And so you're looking at those 3 different aspects of planning, and I like that. Now here's the crazy thing. Are you ready for this? When you're done playing your cards at the end of the round, you will then pass the 2 cards that you just used to the player to your left. So that means you're not going to be able to do that action that you just played, those 2 actions in the beginning, until the player to your right passes you cards that they used that you may not have in your hand, which means you might actually have doubles or even triples of a particular card. Oh my gosh, it almost blows my mind how complex this is. It's so simple, but then you can imagine in round 2, now you're looking at 6 different cards because most likely the player to your right didn't play exactly the same 2 cards that you played in the first round. So then you're picking from those cards, which means you can be playing 2 of the same actions if you have 2 of the same cards. So that is just another added, complex, nuanced element to the plan that you're thinking of in the plan phase, but then affects you passing those cards and receiving new cards for the next planning phase. In phase 2, players are going to, in initiative order based on that lowest combined die pip value, will select a monorail. And the cool thing about the monorail is that these dice pips are essentially set. Now there's no rolling of the dice to get those guests that come into your park. Essentially the dice are your guests. And they have value 6 all the way down to 1. And of course, 6s are generally better because they last a little bit longer. And I'll tell you more about that later. But you have these monorails and everybody's going to get 3 guests. That's the cool thing. You're not getting fewer guests. You just might be getting guests that may not stick around as long as guests who will be higher value. So there are 3s, 4s, 5s, and 6s that start on the monorails. And the thing that you do is you draw from the bag 3 at a time and place them in the monorail. And they have different colors. There are 3 different colors of dice, which represent different kinds of guests, their interests essentially. So you pick a monorail and you take those guests and put them in your entrance. And so you might have 2 yellows and a green, and someone else might be getting 3 blues. And then someone else might be getting 1 of each color. And of course, they're going to be set to a value that the monorail states. So I think that's actually really great. So players always get the same number of dice, which are your guests, but the color of the dice might be different because of the draw from the bag. But the value is going to be based on who wants those high numbers, or it might be based on the color. So initiative order, important. That's why I say important to go first, because you get first selection of the monorail, which are your bringing in all of those guests to the front entrance of your park, not somebody else's park. The third phase is done in initiative order yet again. Players are going to look at the available attractions, and those attractions are going to have possible income. They're going to have a different color that's required for those different kinds of guests, like what their interests are. And they're going to have a different value of victory points. Now, the A deck starts off and has some smaller, lower investment, lower payout than the B deck, which comes in the second half of the game. But it also has a little symbol on the side. And the symbol is going to allow you to get more of that particular type. And when you get 2 of the same kind, and then 3 of the same kind and 4 of the same kind, you're going to get bonuses for those. So you're really vying for similar places. And I think that really makes a grab. Like, you really want to get low number initiative to grab that attraction, to pay for it and build it, and then put it into your park where it will do its best, where it will, essentially gather the most, people coming to see it, the most guests. The other thing you're going to do is gather mascots, and you have to pay for mascots. There is a card that allows you to buy a mascot for fewer, but you're essentially bringing more and more of your mascots into your park, which allow you to manipulate later on in the round, in the phase where you get to send everybody out to do their stuff. Players also really want to vie for the special mascot ability. And so there are going to be mascot abilities that you pair with your mascot, and they allow you to do cool stuff and get victory points and get money and move and just, again, really cool stuff. So that's all part of your expand phase, and that's phase 3. Now moving on to phase 4, which is improve, and players can do this simultaneously. They are allowed to buy 1 map, and you think, oh, what's a map? Who cares? Maps are like really, really important. So always save money to buy maps, in my opinion. You might actually have a special ability that gives you maps for cheaper. You might play a card that allows you to buy maps for cheaper. So invest in maps, but you can only buy 1 per round, but you get to keep all the maps. You use them, you exhaust them, and then you refresh them, and you get to use them over and over again from round to round. So that's why you want to amass them. You want to collect them. The other thing you can do is install up to 2 upgrades, and those allow you to kind of juice out your locations and your attractions by adding either a way to get more money by selling t-shirts and merch, or you can shoot off fireworks and essentially get more victory points if players go to that location because they're watching a fireworks show. The third upgrade is another opportunity for a worker dice, which are your guests, to come to that location and activate it again. And those are really, really cool and super important. After players upgrade, they will move into phase 5, which at the beginning of the game, players should probably do turn by turn just to show each other really what you're doing and how you're doing it, to make sure that you iron out any mistakes or misunderstanding of the rules and how it works. But after the first round, when players know what they're doing, this should just be simultaneous. And by the end of the game, and if you're in phase 5 and you're running this giant park that you've built, it will take you 10 minutes maybe to run your park successfully with like all the thought processes that go into it. And if you're doing it simultaneously, it takes 10 minutes. If you're doing it turn by turn, it could maybe take 30 minutes. So make sure that you're doing it all at the same time. But when you run your park, you are essentially sending out all of those dice, all of those guests to those different places. And you're taking them to new attractions, and you're having them buy merch, and they're watching fireworks, and they're doing all the things. This is how you get victory points. This is how you get money. And so running your park is a huge part of the game, but it's also just you mathing out, like figuring out, if I do this, then I go there, and I do this, then I do that, and I do this, and then I do that, and I move my die here. And every time you move a die into a location, their pip value goes down, which means that if you start at a 6, that's okay. They're going to last for a while. They're going to go to a lot of attractions. But if you start off with a 3 or a 2, they're not going to see as much. They're going to poop out. Essentially, they're going to tucker out before they're done visiting a lot of places in your theme park. So thematically, it makes a lot of sense that you have those enthusiastic guests who are those high-value pip dice. And maybe like the old farts, with the 3, 2, 1, and they're just like really tired. So if you move a die from 1 to a place, that person is exhausted and you just lose the die. They're gone. They left your park. Next round, you can get some more in the monorail, but there are very few ways to get dice outside of the monorail. So make sure that you try to hold on to your people and you find a way to value their pips up, which you can do. You can reinvigorate your dice, which is let's go get a hot dog at the hot dog stand or grab some ice cream, and they just feel refreshed. So that operate phase is super, super important. And then we move into the upkeep phase. That's phase 6. And all you do is you simply put all of your mascots back, you clear out the cubes that marked your progress, you take all your victory points, and you take those 2 cards from the planning phase and you pass them to the player to your left, and you collect the ones that the player to your right passed you, so that now you have 6 new cards to plan with at the beginning of the next round. Now, there's also another feature that happens at the end of rounds 3, 4, and 5, and those are special scoring card bonuses. These round objectives give the person who has the condition met to the most degree, they get the first place victory points. So depending on the amount of players that are in your game, everyone except for 1 player is going to receive points. So in a 2-player game, it's just first place. In a 3-player, it's first and second, but not third. And in a 4-player, it's first, second, third, and not fourth. And so your points are really, really important. It's such a good way to get victory points in this game outside of the attraction way that you get victory points. And of course, mascots are going to give you victory points too. So what do I think of Dice Theme Park? I mean, I told you, basically what the mechanics are and some of the cool things in each phase that happen over the course of the game. I like this game. I think it's a thinker. I think it's a really interesting dice worker placement game with cards, the simultaneous card selection for your bonus actions. Now, everybody gets to take every action in the game. It's just that some cards are going to allow you to have a better version of that. And I know there are a lot of games out there that do that where it's the first player who does it activates something and then other people get to do it as well. Like in San Juan, you get to do it, but the person who selected it gets more. And in this game, it's kind of like that, but you only can play from the cards that you have in your hand. And that's the trick. That's what makes this really special and unique, is that you pass the cards, but if people aren't passing you cards that you want or need to play, you're not going to get those bonuses, and you better be playing other cards that are doing something just as good or kind of changing direction so that you don't just rely on receiving a card from the player to your right. So I find that card passing during the planning phase to get new cards from other players in their deck fascinating. I love that. And I really do like the dice worker placement because in the monorail, there are 3 dice. Everybody gets 3 dice. You just might get tireder or more tired guests than you do get more invigorated guests. But there are ways to mitigate that by bumping up their value. So I think that's really smart too. I love the puzzle of figuring out where everybody goes and how you're moving through your theme park saying, well, I need an odd number here that's blue and I need an even number here that's any color die, and then I can activate it. And then I'm going to move this person over here because I need a blue die over here, and I'm going to move this other blue die using a map over here. and I activate this, and then I move this guy over here, and it's just a puzzle. It is a puzzle, and I like the puzzle. I like that it's simultaneous because you can just sit there and just kind of think out your entire turn, you know, heads down, much like you do in Hadrian's Wall, which is a great, you know, solo game, but you can play with others at the same time and you're just doing your own thing. So in that simultaneous phase you are, but there's so much to vie for. So this is such a wonderful competitive game, and you really do want certain tiles, you want attractions, you want certain mascots, you want certain dice. And it makes you make really smart choices and tough choices. So I really do like this game. I can just sink my teeth into it. I would highly recommend playing with the administrators. The rules suggest in your first game, don't necessarily play with them. No, you should play with them. They're super easy to add, and it gives every player an asymmetrical start that gives them a bonus throughout the game, gives them extra victory points, gives them like a different opportunity to earn something. And I think you get that. So you get 2 cards and you just say, of these 2 cards, which one do I want? And so they're all cool and they're all amazing. And it just is fun. It's just really, really neat. I think it took us probably a lot longer to go through this game the first time through because we played the 5 rounds instead of the 4 rounds. We also added the administrators, which they don't recommend in that first game, even though I think it's super easy and you definitely should because they're really cool. And we also didn't play simultaneous during the activation round where you activate your park until the 4th round. And we played, of course, to 5. And the first 3 rounds, we just kept doing it one by one because I found that I actually got some good advice from my players. I mean, while it's a competitive game, we're always saying, oh, well, don't forget about this card, or maybe this is a good time to use that mascot, or if you move this person over here, then it'll, you know, they'll depreciate, and then you can use them over here in the tile adjacent to it, so you don't have to use a map. And so it kind of it was nice to offer some strategy or some advice and to get that from other players too. So I didn't mind playing, you know, one by one until it finally just got like too laborious for us to actually, you know, do it one by one. But this is a really strategic game. I think it's smart and there's just enough player interaction, just enough competition. It's a nice balance between, you know, being with other people in competition with them, but also just working on my own park. When I do stuff in my own park, it's my own park. And nobody can like sabotage my park. Nobody can, you know, throw a wrench in my plans. I set myself up, and if I fail, it's because I made a mistake. And that's great. So I like that, and I think that it works incredibly well. So for me, Dice Theme Park, gonna come out again. And now that we know the game, now that we learned it, I just can't wait to sail through another game of this with a new administrator, seeing some of those new mascot cards, and just trying this out, maybe even as a 2-player. My first game was with 3. I wonder how fast this goes and how competitive it is with just 2 players. So we shall see. But that's my take on Dice Theme Park, and I think you've probably got a really good idea of what it offers. So it's up to you to decide, is this game for you or maybe not for you? It is for me. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining me. I'll catch you later.